The run-up to Christmas is a wonderful time to visit London. Vibrant streets are draped in thousands of twinkling lights, and tall trees are adorned with spectacular decorations. This, combined with the numerous special events and seasonal markets, make London a great place for a festive city break. In this video, I'll show you how we spent just under 4 days in London at the end of November. On this trip, we mainly focused on Christmas-themed activities, but did throw in a couple of year-round attractions along the way. I've added timestamps for each activity to the description below, so if there are any parts you would like to skip or jump ahead to, then you can use this to navigate your way around the video. I will also try to incorporate tips and practical information along the way. So whether you're looking for ideas for your own future Christmas trip to London, or you just fancy watching something to get you in that holiday spirit, then I hope you enjoy this video itinerary. After checking into our hotel, it was time for our first activity of our trip, Hyde Park Winter Wonderland. From mid-November until January, Hyde Park becomes home to the most festive fair around. Offering a wide range of rides, shows, carnival games, ice skating, shopping, food and drink, there's plenty to keep you entertained. The event was split into several zones, similar to a regular theme park, to help you navigate your way around. We made our way straight towards the thrill zone to check out the roller coasters. We started off with Wild Mouse XXL, where the queue was actually almost as fun as the coaster itself.
Oh my god!
As much as we have loved to have tried most of the rides, it's worth mentioning at this point that you pay per person per ride, and the rides here are very expensive. I'll show you a few examples of some of the rides available. There's Munich Looping, the world's largest portable coaster. The Hangover, which lifts you and then holds you at 85 metres above the fair before suddenly dropping you to the ground. If you fancy a ride with a view but without the peril, then hop on the Giant Wheel, which takes you almost as high as the Hangover. If you enjoy a haunted house, then the Haunted Mansion is a great option. You could take a sleigh ride on Snowjet, one of the fastest rides at Winter Wonderland.
Oh god, just looking at that makes me feel a bit sick.
There are plenty of rides for the little ones, including this iconic Christmas tree carousel where you sit in oversized baubles. There are many other rides, but I won't list them all, so let's move on. Over in the Arctic Circle, you'll find the magical Ice Kingdom. Enter a frost-covered world where over 500 tons of ice and snow are sculptured into a fantasy land of wizards and dragons. They do keep the room at -10, so make sure you bring your hat and gloves.
Oh wow, look at this telescope! And then over here they've got candles in the ice.
If you aren't cold enough already, then there's an ice slide you can whiz down, or at least attempt to, like I did. After a visit to the magical Ice Kingdom, you'll probably want something to warm you up, so let's talk about food and drink. The main areas for food are the Street Food Village, the Bavarian Village, and the Christmas Market. Although there are vendors scattered throughout the event, in short, you won't go hungry. There are also several bars dotted around the event, including the Fire Pit, where live bands play under a canopy of golden twinkling lights, and Thor's Teepee, a giant Scandinavian teepee that's kept cosy and warm by a large crackling fire right there in the middle. Perfect once the sun has gone down and the temperature has dropped. One of the highlights for me at Hyde Park Winter Wonderland was over at the circus tent. Here you can watch the family-friendly Zippo Circus, or like us, you could choose to watch Cirque Berserk. This high-energy show features incredible circus acts from around the world. For a solid 45 minutes, an amazingly talented group of jugglers, acrobats, aerialists, dancers and stuntmen kept us on the edge of our seat. Not only that, but there was plenty of humour thrown in and the atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. The highlight had to be the motorcycle Globe of Death. I would imagine by now there might be a split between some of you thinking this all looks like great fun, and some of you thinking you would rather listen to Band Aid on repeat than enjoy Winter Wonderland. We fall into the former group and really enjoyed our time there. Yes, it is expensive, and if you aren't careful you could easily spend a lot of money, but overall it was a great way to kick off our trip, especially watching Cirque Berserk and walking through the magical Ice Kingdom. This year they encourage you to book before you visit. Whether this is just for 2021 or this is something that's here to stay, I don't know. But for now, try to pre-book, especially if you're visiting at a peak time. Entry is free during off-peak times and either £5 or £7.50 during peak times. When booking your tickets online, if you spend £20 in advance on attractions or entertainment, then entry is free. Rather than getting the tube straight back to our hotel in Fitzrovia, we decided to take ourselves on a stroll around a few of the best Christmas light displays in London. Our walk started on Oxford Street, which is Europe's busiest shopping street and runs right through London's West End. This year there are rows and rows of gold stars with silver streams hanging above the streets. It's also home to the world-famous Selfridges. We took a short walk from Oxford Street up and down St Christopher's Place, where baubles float above your head. Heading a little further along, we were then drawn to the icy blue glow of South Molton Street. Our next stop was Bond Street, which was illuminated by giant peacock feathers. These feathers are actually a nod to groups of dapper men back in the 18th century who were known as peacocks for strutting their stuff down the street in their extravagant clothing. Next up was Oxford Street's very posh neighbour, Regent Street. Coming up on our left now are those huge angels above Regent Street. They're absolutely massive. Known as the Spirit of Christmas, this beautiful installation features humongous glittering angels soaring above the streets. Next was Carnaby Street, where over 600 hand-decorated butterflies fluttered above our heads. The installation, known as Carnaby Kaleidoscope, was created in collaboration with Choose Love, a shop set up by the charity Help Refugees that supports refugees all over the world. At this point it was around 11 PM and our feet were really starting to feel it after all of the walking we'd done, so we called it a night and headed back to our hotel. The next morning we hopped on the tube to take the Central line to Bank, where we would start our morning at the airy Leadenhall Market. Historically this was a meat market, and you can still see the meat hooks outside several of the stores, so make sure you look up. In Leadenhall Market you'll find boutiques, restaurants, cafes and places to drink. We were here to visit Au Merveilleux de Fred for a coffee and one of their delicious flaky pastries. Our next stop was just a few minutes walk from Leadenhall Market, the Sky Garden, which is one of the best free viewpoints in London. If you enjoy tropical plants then you will love the lush indoor garden. After walking by the beautiful greenery, head out to the balcony where you'll have incredible far-reaching views over London. You can check out the icons on the glass to help you identify the different landmarks, which is a really cool little touch. As you can see, it was pretty overcast when we visited, but we did still really enjoy looking out over the city. A quick note to say that although entry is free, you will want to book your space up to 3 weeks in advance, as tickets are limited. From here, we took a short walk past the Tower of London. You can take a tour of this historic castle, however we continue to the south of the Thames by crossing the iconic Tower Bridge. Once on the south side you can get that perfect view of Tower Bridge. Just cross to the other side of Tower Bridge and you get a really good view of it from here. The exact vantage point we're showing you now is in front of City Hall and Potters Fields Park along the South Bank. You will also find a beautiful Christmas market known as Christmas by the River. Wooden stalls line the path, all with a stunning backdrop of Tower Bridge and the city skyline. After browsing the stalls, we came across this lovely little shelter, so couldn't resist grabbing a mulled wine and a hot toddy to sip while we looked out over the Thames. We continued along the Thames path for a couple more miles. We really enjoyed walking along the river, watching the boats and admiring the buildings. We've just come up to the next market and look at this neon light installation. By mid-afternoon we reached South Bank Winter Market and were very ready for lunch. There's so many tempting options for food here. After warming ourselves up in one of the heated bars, we continued following the river to cross Westminster Bridge. Here you can see Elizabeth Tower, which is much more commonly known as Big Ben. From Westminster, we hopped on a tube to take the District line out to what was probably one of my most anticipated seasonal activities of the trip. Every year, Kew Gardens hosts an after-dark festive trail. Stroll through the gardens, now aglow with millions of lights. These enchanting displays light your way along the trail and music fills the air all the way around. Light shows were synchronised to music, which unfortunately I can't show you with the sound because of copyright reasons, but they were really well done. On the website it estimates that the trail will take around 75 minutes, but we ended up spending at least 2 hours there. It's worth taking your time along the trail and stopping to watch the different displays. It really is incredible how much work must go into setting up and maintaining this event. There are stalls selling food and drink on the way round, although bear in mind that they are quite expensive. If you do want to go to Christmas at Kew, then I would recommend getting tickets as early as you can, as they do sell out fast. Even though it definitely feels wrong to plan for Christmas in summer, we bought our tickets at the end of August and many of the popular dates had already sold out. After having attended the event, I can completely understand why it's so popular though, as we thoroughly enjoyed every moment of the trail. The next morning we hopped on a train to the Warner Brothers studio tour, The Making of Harry Potter. If you visit between mid-November to mid-January, then you'll experience the Harry Potter tour with a twist, as the studios are decorated for the holidays as part of the annual event Hogwarts in the Snow. Spot Christmas trees and festive treats dotted around, and explore sets now blanketed in snow. They even have snow falling outside on Privet Drive. When you first arrive, you'll be greeted by the huge dragon that would normally be guarding the vaults at Gringotts. Once the behind-the-scenes tour starts, you're guided through the actual sets and props from the movies. Any Harry Potter fan will love the part near the start where they open up the grand doors and you walk into the Great Hall, which during our visit was elaborately decked out with wreaths, garlands and Christmas trees, and the long tables were overflowing with a Christmas feast.
You are ready? 3, 2, 1. Marvellous, exceedingly festive. Now these puddings can go on burning for 100 years if they wanted to. They're made of concrete and topped by steel holly.
After being released from the Great Hall, you explore the studios at your own pace. Browse the vast collection of costumes and discover more about the intricate work of the makeup artists. Follow the creation of creatures from concept to completion and come face to face with a fire-breathing dragon. One of the highlights of this tour was the creepy Forbidden Forest, not recommended for anybody who's scared of spiders. Another highlight was walking around the incredible scale model of Hogwarts, which was used to film aerial shots. Getting to see the intricate level of detail is amazing. I particularly loved the tiny flickering torches all around the grounds and the lights in the windows that really helped bring the castle to life. Not only did the castle look really pretty dusted in snow, but a staff member told us that there were 2 tiny snowmen hidden somewhere around the castle. We couldn't find them, but maybe you will. On your visit, you can buy an audio guide, but even if you don't worry, you'll still be able to read information boards and watch videos to learn behind-the-scenes secrets and bonus interesting facts. We didn't buy the audio guide, and I still felt like we got a lot from the tour. I don't want to spoil it all, but to just give you a couple of examples of some of the interesting things we found out, during the making of Harry Potter, they had 2 sets for Hagrid's hut. One that you'll see at the studios for the regular size characters, and one smaller hut for Robbie Coltrane to make Hagrid appear bigger. Clever, right? And how about those paintings, the ones depicting famous wizards? Many of these are actually portraits of the crew members, who are now immortalised in the wizarding world through these paintings. Now, a little bit of practical information for your visit. Firstly, there's Backlots Cafe where you can buy food. There's a simple menu serving items like burgers and hot dogs, and it does include vegan options. Then, of course, you can also buy butterbeer. It's worth noting that you can take your own food, which could be worth doing as we found the waits for food was pretty long. Now we'll talk about booking tickets. Make sure you book well in advance, around 2 to 4 months. Try to book your slot earlier in the day because once you're in, you're allowed to stay as long as you like. They recommend around 3 to 4 hours for a visit, although we were there for over 5. Getting there by public transport is easy. Catch the train from Euston to Watford Junction, where you will then catch a shuttle bus put on by the studio to take you the rest of the way. You don't need to book a place on the bus, just show up. After our Harry Potter studio tour, we caught the tube to Leicester Square and made a beeline for the popular Covent Garden. Covent Garden's piazza and markets buildings are covered by lights, and in the middle stands a twinkling 55-foot Christmas tree, which is the largest hand-picked tree in London. Once you head inside the markets, you'll see oversized baubles and mistletoe hanging from the ceiling, and disco balls reflect dancing lights all over the floor and walls. As you can see, it was very busy when we arrived a little before 6 o'clock. This year, between 12 p.m. and 7 p.m, every hour on the hour, snow would fall in Covent Garden. Not only is Covent Garden the place to go for some of the prettiest Christmas decorations in London, it's also a good spot to catch performers.
I'm going to go from single spins to double spins to flourishes, to throwing them up and around, to throwing the fire behind my back, and nobody cares. Now, it's too late, you already hurt my feelings.
After Covent Garden, we headed to one of our firm favourites for dinner in the Chinatown area. Tokyo Diner is a simple, authentic Japanese restaurant that serves up noodles, curries and bento boxes, all at a very reasonable price. For us, a trip to London would not be complete without visiting one of its many museums, so the next day we headed to South Kensington to visit one of our favourites. The popular Natural History Museum houses around 80 million items, so you could spend hours taking it all in, especially if it's your first visit. Collections range from mammals, living and extinct, to minerals and gemstones. They even have a fragment of meteorite. Admission to the museum is free with a suggested donation. However, on this occasion, we paid extra for tickets to access the annual Wildlife Photographer of the Year temporary exhibition. Here, 100 powerful images showcase the beauty of our planet and the pressure the natural world is under. After the museum, we walked for around 1 hour to Seven Dials, a web of 7 streets which meet at a central sundial pillar, beautifully shimmering in lights. Here we went inside Seven Dials Market for our reservation at Pick and Cheese, which is the world's first cheese conveyor belt restaurant. Here you'll be offered a seemingly endless supply of over 25 types of British cheese, each paired with their own condiments. You pay by the plate, which are colour-coded by price, plus there's a small selection of off-belt dishes that you can order. Simply watch the plates go round and take your pick. Sadly, it was now time for us to head back to our hotel to pick up our luggage from storage before catching our train home. If you would like to look into any activities in this trip further, then I've included all relevant links in the description below this video. We of course didn't cover every single Christmas activity available in London on our trip because there really is so much to do, but I hope this at least helped a little with your future trip planning. Thanks for watching.